Good morning. It's Velvet on Silver. I am the host of Wisdom Weaver Wednesday. So welcome to March 8th. Today is International Women's Day, so I felt it was really appropriate to do an interview with a woman that I admire and has done many things and is doing many things to change people's lives and in particular women's lives. So I want to talk. Good morning, Tara. It's nice to see you on here. So I want to just talk as I'm bringing my guest on here. I'm waiting for her to join me here. March 8th. Why March 8th? Why did they choose that day to be International Women's Day? So I did a little bit of research. And what I found is that what the intent of this day, it started back March 8th, 1857, sorry. Good morning, Paula. Where female garment and textile workers in New York City staged a protest to demand higher wages, better working conditions, and equal rights. So this goes way back to March 8th of 1857. So it's been a long time coming. Okay, I'm just going to bring Paula on here. And we are going to do that right now. Okay, Paula, I'm trying to bring you on here. It's always fun doing this. Okay, it's still saying, I sent you an invite, Paula, earlier. So I am just bringing her on here. Okay, Paula, I sent you a tag this morning and it's not showing. So I'm going to keep talking until we get this figured. So March 8th, 1857. So this goes way, way back in time, long before we were here. And what I want to talk about today with Paula, she's saying, I don't see an invite. Oops. Yeah, I tagged you in this post, Paula. So that's what I did. Okay. It's okay. I don't know why you're not showing up. Let's just see. Yeah, you're still not showing up, that I can't add you. Okay, you accepted the tag. It's always fun with technology, right? When you're trying to do this, especially on Facebook, I find it's not the easiest way. Yeah, I still can't add you. Okay, so we're just going to continue. I know I can't either. I think you can actually request Paula to come on. I think down at the bottom, if you're on your phone, you can actually request to come on here. Recently invited. Let's see. Okay, here you go. I'm going to invite you again, Paula. Okay, so it is sent. All right. And here she is. Okay, I'm going to be able to bring her on. So I'm bringing on Paula Olivia Hopwood. And I'm adding her in this moment in time on March 8th. And here she is coming on here. Good morning, beautiful.
All right. Good morning. Good morning. I realized I was trying to enter through my computer. Silly me. So it only works on the phone.
Yeah.
We actually did this before and now I remember. So
we did.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah.
So happy International Women's Day.
Happy International Women's Day. Yay.
Yay. So thank you for agreeing to come on and have some chit chat. I figured you were the perfect person to talk about what it means to be empowered, to be a woman in the modern day here in 2023. And that's what I want to talk about. So do you want to just share a little bit about, you look beautiful, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I just set my phone on my computer.
Oh,
it's working for me.
It is working for you. It is. So why don't you share a little bit about yourself with everybody who's watching?
All right. So I'm Paula Olivia Hopwood. I'm soon going to drop that last name, by the way. So get to know me as Paula Olivia. It's kind of like Madonna, but two words. Okay. So
I like it.
Yeah. I have been on quite a journey. I come from a very abusive lifestyle background, and the worst abuser was myself, because I would keep myself in those situations. And along my journey of healing, I, just got drawn into everything, and including myself, right? And so it was the most beautiful journey ever, and I'm still on it. And so I call myself a sacred love alchemist because I turn everything into sacred love. And that's who I am. And that's who I know everyone else is. So I help them get back to that too. So I love to help people to, remove the trauma out of their lives and just be the best them that they can be. And so I'm excited. Velvet Dawn's a very good friend of mine, like a personal good friend of mine. We laugh a lot together and cry a lot together. And so I'm excited because she invites me out to stuff like this, that I can share my story and reach more people. And so I think this is fantastic, especially what's going on in the human evolution right now, the divine feminine energy coming in and just working its magic, we'll put it that way, in the planet. So, International Women's Day, it's a lot of what's gone on in the past and in the rights and everything like that. But I'm seeing a shift right now too, to the woman, the feminine energy coming out. So thank you for having me here.
You are so welcome. You're so welcome. It's my pleasure. Okay, so let's dive right into this, right? Because there's been so much change since March 8th of 1857, which is when it was declared International Women's Day. So let's talk a little bit about this part. So what feminine traits do you value the most in yourself?
That's interesting. Okay. So honestly, I like what I value the most is the nurturing. So there's the mother in me, but there's the nurturing of myself, of putting myself importance like first. There is the surrendering. Actually, I just spoke about it on a video this morning, is the feminine trait of surrendering. And we wouldn't think that that's normally a trait, but it is. And it goes along with receiving. And I always like to give the example that the feminine energy is about surrendering and receiving, because even if you look at the physical bodies, in order to make a baby, a woman must surrender and receive the seed, right? And otherwise a baby doesn't get made, right? So, there's other instances, but it's about the flow of energy. And I love those traits and sensuality. Okay. So, and all these work together. The way that I look at it, they're not separate. They all work together hand in hand and just flow together. And so those would be my favorite ones, because they're the ones that have been most impactful in my life, is that feminine flow of the nurturing. And yeah, I'm going off on a little dreamland walk right now, but so it's like the nurturing, because I never could have gotten out of all that abuse if I wouldn't be nurturing myself, right? And women, since, what was it, 1870 until now, and in the future, 1857. Okay, you're not going to kick me off now that I finally got on. Hey, I don't know my dates, but so 1857, women never give up. We just never give up. And part of that power, that strength in us of never giving up, is the fact that we nurture ourselves, is the fact that we want to nurture those around us. We want the best for the world. We want the best for the people in it. And so there's that nurturing coming in with that. And yeah, something that I've been really tapping into lately is the sensuality too. For a long time, we've been taught that, taboo. Okay, we'll call it that. But a woman, we have curves and we flow and we move a different way and we think a different way, and it's very sensual. And I've been really tapping into how beautiful that is. And again, coming back to those energies. So I am a shaman, right? And so I work with energies. Yes, I'm an energy worker too, and an intuitive healer and stuff. But as a shaman, going in the different realms, the different layers, I follow energy, right? And so quite often I'm even finding myself moving in different ways, like moving in circles, moving in a figure eight, in feminine ways, right? I mean, right now I have a cushion on my chair that I move back and forth with, right? So the sensual, that trait of a woman to be sensual, we move differently, and not not just in the energy, but physically as well. And it's just a beautiful thing. So
Mhm.
those would be my favorites. What are your
Okay.
favorites,
You
Velma?
know, you know what? I love that you said sensual, because I have a meme or a Canva that I'm going to put up today that says exactly that. It says, you know, women, honor your sensual self. And, you know, what I've learned, and you and I've kind of got this figured, is that when you, especially are a woman and you're mature, right? And you're in that, you know, wise woman age, you begin to learn and understand what sensuality means, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like when you ignite that spark inside of yourself, it just grows on the outside and it moves with you, like you were saying. And so it's like you can move into a room, you can walk into a space, and people feel it. They don't know what they're feeling, but it's that sensual energy that's awake within you, which is the creativity, your sexuality, your power, right? Your self-love, your passion, all of those things. So
When you
anyway.
think about it, even our solar plexus is placed lower in our body, you know, in that right around that pelvic girdle, you know, and I work a lot, you know, with the womb chakra as well as in there, and our root chakras in there, you know, and that's where our power is, right? And it's so in the hips where they move, you know, and yeah, it's a beautiful thing. So I say I'm tapping into it. I've been doing it for a while. One of the things that I do to tap into it, by the way, that I find, and you talk about changing the energy in the room, if I want to get into my feminine flow, be it meditating, manifesting, maybe we just went on this big journey of I was on the dating apps, and then I was off, then I was on, then I was off, then I was on, then I was off. You know, so
Right.
and now I've called in my king. That being said, when I wanted to be feminine, when I wanted to be in that beautiful feminine energy and not in my masculine side, I would put on songs that make me feel like moving and in a sensual way. And I would dance and I would move and all around, you know, all over the living room and the kitchen. I'm sure if people were driving by and saw me, they think I'm off my gourd, but you know, I would just dance and dance and dance, right? And I'm still doing it. Like if I'm, you know, manifesting something or working on a project, you know, I'm always working on things, or I want to get into my feminine energy before I work with somebody, you know, I just dance, right? I move my body. Is the easiest thing to do to get into that sensuality is to feel the flow and move with it, right? So, yeah. Anyways.
Okay. No, so you asked me what are my feminine traits that I value the most. It would be the sensuality, which is combined with the creativity and the passion, right? Like I've really noticed a difference in the passion. So for me, it would be those things, and it would also be just receptive, right? Because growing up in a relationship with my mother, you know, it was hard for me to sink into my feminine because I was in my masculine, you know, most of the time growing up in my life. So for me, it's been sinking into that feminine energy to receive, to allow a man to give to me, to just sort of lay down the alpha, you know, armor for a little bit and let that energy come in and trust, right? To trust that.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing too? I've been doing a deep dive on receiving lately too. And, you know, before I was so cut off and I thought, no, I can do it myself. No, no, don't need any help. Saw it as a weakness, right? No, 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 no. You know, like carrying, you know, two kids on my hips and, you know, a bale of straw on my back and, you know, like whatever. No, no, don't need any help, you know, and I refuse help from people, be it whatever, physical help, you know, monetary help, whatever it was, right? Like my whole life, I would refuse, and I would separate myself off, right? And I wouldn't receive anything. And I even realized once my heart began to open that I wouldn't even receive myself, right? So that's a huge big superpower strength of women, is the ability to receive. It's not just women, it's the feminine energy.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the feminine energy in everyone, it's not just women.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you know, like, and I laugh at myself the way I used to be, and you know, basically, you know, fenced myself off, put myself in a box, and then got upset that I was alone.
right?
Not that I couldn't receive anything, right? Yeah, I'm open now. So I'm open.
But you know what? I
Mhm.
think this is such a good topic because when I look around, it's like we have this movement of the feminine. And I always say, I'm not a feminist, right? I believe like I'm a master of sacred union. It's the balance of the feminine and masculine within myself, right? Which is exactly what you're saying,
Mhm.
right? And when you can sink into that, it's messy when you begin to look at the feminine and bring it to the surface and bring those shadow wounds up and let them go. Surrender, one of your
Mhm.
words, right? It's
Mhm.
messy. Hmm.
Yes. Yes, yeah, it even reminds I have 4 kids, and so I've been through childbirth, 4 times, so, so it can be messy when you're bringing stuff forward, a new life, be it to you, like, it just gets messy, and
Yeah.
so, and that's okay because that's a part of life, and I've come to realize that and
Hmm.
accept it, that no matter what it is, if I'm birthing something, if I'm creating something, there might be some tears, there might be some swearing, it might get real messy, right? But it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful creation, and to go with it and flow with it. And yeah, it's again, receiving that gift of that creation, whatever it is. Even how you can get an insight into something. It's like a little poke from God, an idea in your head, but it takes steps to lead up to that, right? And when we put in the work, we put in the time and the effort, and we create this and bring it out, and then it's this beautiful creation. So yeah, I have always been the worst one in the past for fighting myself on that and not receiving it, right? And now just to flow with it is such a beautiful thing, and knowing that on the other side of whatever it looks like is that creation is going to be beautiful. It already is beautiful.
It
Hmm.
is beautiful.
Hmm.
It's already there,
Hmm.
right? It's just working through what you have created as
Yeah,
your own obstacles to get to that
yeah.
point. So, okay. Okay. Thank you for that. Okay. Now I like this question. Who was your first female role model and why? Now, I'm bringing this up because in my book, right, I
Hmm.
wrote each chapter is dedicated to a role model in my life, and I feel like it's important. So go. Who is your first role model and why?
It's not going to surprise you. One of the people I looked up to, well, probably the first feminine role model that I had that I looked up to was Wonder Woman.
Yes.
I was addicted to Wonder Woman. She got to like twirl that rope. She even moved, she got to wear the cool headband. I loved her so much. I named my first horse after her street name of Diane. So
Mm,
my first horse's name was Diane. And so I loved her. She just, back when I was a kid, it just seemed like she could do anything, right? And I grew up with, well, just say that my mom didn't think she could do everything or anything. So it wasn't a good situation there. And so, I was looking for somebody to inspire me, I guess, without knowing I was looking. And I often think about that over the years because, Wonder Woman's been remade and stuff. And of course, I probably, if I went back and watched the episodes I used to watch, I'd probably be horrified at what I used to be watching. Gen X, we were pretty tough back then. But,
that's right.
but I was like, she could do anything, man. And the way she used to rope people with her rope of truth.
Mhm.
I loved that. I think about that so often now, like if I could just have that rope of truth around you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be
But
handy?
wouldn't it?
Right?
I think I'll dress up as her for Halloween this year. Or maybe not Halloween. Maybe I'll just dress up like her.
I think you should.
I think I should.
I have her costume if you want to borrow it.
Oh, cool.
I do. Totally. Okay, now let's go into a female living role model.
Oh, okay. You know what? So this one's going to be a little different. Okay. I picked myself.
Mm.
I have been in so many versions of myself. And even the me that was way back, you know, when I've had some really bad stuff happen to me, knowing that it happened for me, even that girl who went through that, even that young teenager, even that in my 20s who went through that, she inspires me. And she inspires me. And I just got the truth bumps all over me. She inspires me so much. You know, I think about that sometimes is who models for me, who inspires me. And I come back to myself because those versions of myself, if I wouldn't have been that, I wouldn't be who I am now. And I'm all about it. You know, like I work with people and I always get them to honor their past, get them to celebrate, you know, celebrate what's going on right now, celebrate the different stages of their life. Because if we just put it off to the side and don't acknowledge that, you know, there's just, I don't know, there's just something wrong there if we do that, right? Like, I just think that I wouldn't be who I am if she didn't raise me up, you know? The strength in that girl is phenomenal. The strength in that woman is phenomenal. Like, and all the different versions of herself, including the one, you know, last year I went on that big walkabout and I left, you know, and to go find myself on a deeper level. And the strength that it took to do that and put myself first, that woman, yeah, she inspires the you know what out of me, right? And I find myself, I'm back in Canada now, I'm getting back into whatever normal life is, but I find myself thinking about what it took, you know, to do that. And that woman is in me, right? And so I can do anything. I'm Wonder Woman. You know, like, I'm the Canadian Wonder Woman, right?
That's great.
So yeah, you know, like, of course there's been other women that have inspired me in different things, but I don't know them, right? Like, you don't know, like somebody who's on your TV screen or your magazine cover or whatever. Yeah, they look good. They've been airbrushed. They've had makeup artists on them and hairstylists. I do my own hair and makeup. That's why I don't wear makeup, and my hair is, you know.
Beautiful.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
You know? It's the only style because I don't know what else to do with it. But
yeah.
But you know, like, we don't know somebody for their authenticity and for, you know, their whole journey. And I don't know those people, right? I do know personally some celebrities, and they're not who their you know, publicist portrays them to be. So you know, I get thinking about that, and I want to honor myself on that in this question, on especially on International Women's Day. Like, holy woman. You know, like,
Yeah.
You know, and then the other one would be you. Like,
oh,
we have such a similar story. I mean, everything, and either you're just ahead of me or I'm just ahead. It doesn't matter. You know, the things that we've gone through in our lives, and we keep going because we believe in love. You know, we believe in ourselves. And there goes the truth bumps all over me again. I mean, like, what better role model than that, right? So, and we're doing it for our daughters, you know, and we're doing it for whoever's watching us out on social media or our friends or whatever, you know. We just keep going, you know. So me and you, that's who inspired me.
We are our own team of Wonder Women,
right?
Charlie's Angel, whatever you want to call us.
Yeah.
Right.
The dynamic duo.
Yeah. And it's true. Like, I would say the same for you, Paula, very much so. Like, for those of you watching, we've gone through so many things similar, whether it's divorce or a hysterectomy or abuse. It's been, you know, and plus we're both in the energy field. So it's like I'm glad that I have you to call up and say, hey, are you going through this? Are you giving out Lunchables? And and you're like, I am. And I'm like, okay, good. Right. And so
that's even so, you know, like, most people can relate to losing a dog or a cat. Both Velvedon and I come from the land and ranching life, and had our favorite horse. And I put down my everything horse. I've owned hundreds of horses over the years, but this horse was phenomenal to me. And I had to put him down several years ago. And I think it was a year before, Velvedon, you put down your boy. And so when that came up, I knew exactly how she felt, and I knew how to support her through it. I'm getting the shivers again. I was so honored to do that.
Yeah.
So even working through stuff like that, you know, that can be a really hard time in our lives. And it's saying, really, it's saying goodbye to an era in our lives, you know, that part of me is over and done with. So it's not just the loss of our best friend and animal, you know, somebody who literally carried us, you know, through tough times. But it's saying goodbye to an era, you know. And so there was that in it too, and to be able to rise up during that, you know, both we'll use that one as an example right now because that's what I'm using, but both of us, you know. So isn't that something to be inspired by? Isn't that something, you know, that, you know, the strength in that on both of our parts, to be modeled, you know. Then you went through your hysterectomy first, and then me, and yeah, we take turns on things, you know. But it's inspiring, you know. And then not only that, that brings me to friendship and love, right, and trust in amongst us. And yeah, you know, it's just a beautiful thing. So yay to us. I think I'll buy my own Wonder Woman outfit, and then we'll go grocery shopping or something in Wonder Woman.
Wouldn't that be fun? I'd totally do it. You know, I would do it. I'm an Aries. I'm totally game. 100%. Okay. No, and I thank you for sharing that, because, you know, when I was thinking about my role model, I think about that a lot today, right? Like and for me, it was my grandma, right? She was the first woman to go, you can actually see her in the background up there in the wedding photo. And she was like the first woman to go to U of A to get her degree in nursing back in 1937. And I didn't know that until later. And she gave me her suitcase with her initials on it that she took to school, because she had to stay at boarding school when she went. And I said to her, and then I have her medical books right behind me too. And I have a medical background also. So when I was going to SAGE, she said, I'm going to give you my medical books. And I thought that was so interesting. And I said, Grandma, why did you not ever use your nursing? And she said, I just needed it in case my marriage didn't work out. Like, that is a woman that lived in the same yard as me. And I would run away from home with my clothes and hop the fence. And I would go to her house, and she would make me porridge, and she'd have homemade crab apple jelly. Like, she taught me all of those things that, you know, a girl can use in her life, you know, being a wife, being a mom. And she showed me those values. And to this day, like, it's such a gift, right? And I feel like, and I want you to tell me what you think about this. I feel like a lot of that has been lost. It's been lost over the years of the grandmothers teaching the granddaughters how to do things like that. And to me, that's something that's so important, is learning how to cook, right? Those traditional meals, learning how to sew, you know, learning how to be able to speak in front of a group, being able to shovel out a pen of manure, right? Like, there's things, right, that you know how to saddle a horse, right? Right? There is an art.
Yeah. You know, and you're right, these things are being lost. And I'm thinking about that, you know, and I mean, the way I grew up, so my mom, she came over from the Ukraine, and from a very young age, she was left by herself because her parents had to work. So nobody taught her how to cook, you know. She just kind of, I guess, scavenged the cupboards. I don't know what happened, but nobody taught her any of this stuff, right? So she was unable to teach me. She could only follow recipes a bit. She taught me how to crack eggs, you know. So I'm a self-taught cook and baker, and so she did teach me a little bit, you know, and how to crack eggs. You know, so she certainly had her gifts that she would teach me, but I didn't have anybody in my life teaching me anything like that, you know. And it reminded me when you started talking about your grandma and how, like, you could hear the emotion, right? It was so beautiful. It reminded me of my daughter, weirdly enough. Okay, because here's the thing, my daughter said something brilliant to me the other day, and she is now, I homeschooled her whole life. She's now in grade 10, and she's in a public school here. So she's dealing with all sorts of drama and boyfriends and all sorts of things, right? And the cool thing is, she's not getting drawn in by any of it. She doesn't take it personal, you know, when somebody says something, or if a guy likes her, but he's playing games or whatever, she just doesn't want anything to do with him, you know? And she's sitting there listening to one of my friends go on how she's being, you know, like emotionally abused. And my daughter's giving her advice, and my daughter's 15 years old. And my daughter's, you know, like the stuff coming out of her mouth was amazing. And I'm sitting back looking at her. And then my daughter said, I know this because of you, Mom. Right.
Yes.
And I just went, oh, I broke the cycle. You know, I'm the one who broke the cycle. Like, oh my God, my daughter's not going to repeat this. Right. And so while I didn't have stuff growing up, my mom loves me. She's still alive. She loves me. I know she does. Right. But while I didn't have the support I needed growing up, my daughter has. And so I think that's so beautiful. And, you know, she inspires me, you know. My kids are one of the inspirations of why I wanted to quit abusing myself. You know, I have that thing I say all the time is what I allow will continue. And I literally apply that to everything in my life. And I didn't want any more of that type of treatment. I didn't want to abuse myself anymore. But my kids were a big encouragement on that. Jaylene wasn't even born by that time, right? But I still do it. And to sit back and watch her, I'm like, wow, you know, because, you know, there's that saying that when you heal yourself, you heal 7 generations before you and 7 generations after you, because it's the energy that you heal. And then it's the thought patterns, and, you know, you break off curses and all sorts of things off yourself. And I'm like, wow, you know, so I'm looking forward to seeing more out of that young woman and seeing what she does and stuff, you know, because actually she inspires me too. And you know, I always find it interesting when people have had, you know, learned the lessons of the old ways, right, and stuff. I am learning them slowly over the years from other people, you know, so it's okay. I'm not into canning, you know, like I'm more masculine, you know, like I'm not into canning. I'm not into sewing, anything like that. I'm more into, you know what, let's go chop some wood and I'll go feed the animals and go for a ride and, you know, ride the fence and stuff like that. But that being said, the traditions of just taking care of the family, taking care of the land, a lot of that's been lost over the years, you know, and that's a sad thing. I have been teaching my daughter. Interestingly enough, you know, my sons, they're more interested in other things, you know, but my daughter, she's interested in the land and the animals. So I teach her, and sacred medicines, you know, so I teach her. Teach her what I know, teach her what I'm learning, right? Just share. So yeah, keeping that open.
Yeah, and that's a really good point that, you know, as we're evolving, we're teaching different values, right? I know. I feel like that is very important, and that's a very good point, and that's beautiful that she said that to you, right? You know, because she's watching and she's learning, right? I mean, I have 3 girls too, right? And you can see that they're looking and they're watching, you know, whether they agree with all your choices or not. They're still looking at you to see, you know, your strength in certain situations, which is important.
Yeah, and usually when they say I learned that from you, it's usually a colorful swearing phrase or something like that.
Right.
I'm like, no, I don't want you to learn that.
Well, sometimes it's essential, right, to just blow off some steam. I think we all learned that. I learned that when my dad actually was helping me lead my 4-H steer and break the steer and put the halter on. I remember he said, whatever you do, do not let go of the rope. And it was this time of year, it was frozen. All the cow patties were frozen in the pen. And he said, don't let go. And so there I am hanging onto that rope, like on my chest, like skiing. And I'm like not letting go, right? And I remember coming up to the house and Mom said, what happened to you? I said, I didn't let go. And she said, oh, you got taken for a little ride. And I said, I did. And that's where I learned my swear words, was from my dad around cattle, right? Definitely.
Yeah. That's what I taught my kids when they were little, is that they're not bad words, they're adult words, because they would hear adults say them, right?
Yeah.
I didn't want them thinking adults were bad, right? Including myself. So yeah, because, you know, the occasional you know, bomb would show up.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the next question, and I feel like this has some merit right now, because like I said to you before, I personally I'm not a feminist. I believe that we need balance within ourselves, but that movement has propelled us forward to get where we are today. So my question to you is, do you feel that women and men should have the same roles in the household, in life? How do you feel about that?
I feel they should do whatever the hell they want.
Yes.
I do. So, I'm the same way. I am not a feminist. I know that men are different than women, and I'm thankful for that. Oh my gosh, am I thankful for that. We both have masculine and feminine energies in us, and we operate stronger in the one than the other, right? So, I mean, a man can be more in his feminine, and then his mate, if he's married to a woman or whatever, she could be more in her masculine, and it balances out. That's fantastic, you know? But when it comes to roles, I think I mean, I know we were just talking about grandma teaching us and stuff, you know, and that's wonderful because she was teaching what she knew. Just like I teach what I know. I don't know how to can, you know, I don't know how to sew, therefore I don't teach it, right? But I teach what I know, and it's effective. So roles, I think they should be whatever we want them to be, you know, like the man I'm with now, he loves to cook. He loves to cook for me. I love to receive it, you know. I love to cook too, but man, I'll stand back and let him cook, right? And is that a role? You know, like I could let him cook for me forever, right? So yeah, no, I just think that roles are rules. And if, you know, if a couple decides that that's what they want, then that's great, you know, and another couple, it wouldn't be the same for them, you know. In society, you know, it's been a pretty male dominated society, you know. There's things that men actually can do better than women, just like there's things that women can do better than men, right? And I think, you know, I remember being on the well, I still am on the John Maxwell team, but when I first started training with them, John said something pretty good. He said do what you do like you do well and you have fun at, and become the world's expert in it, you know, like really dive into it. Because at that time my mind was thinking, oh well, I'm really good at this, but I should really sharpen up on all these things over here, right? But no, he brought it back to whatever you're gifted at, like really go into it, explore it, have fun with it, expand it, right? So, you know, there's some women out there that you know, really like to be in the army or really like to be firefighters, right? Personally, for me, I would think that a firefighter, you'd have to work out a lot as a woman to be able to do that, because typically women are lighter framed, you know. I used to bodybuild, so I know there's women out there who are super strong, believe me. And you know, I can throw around a calf and bales of hay, and you know, second cut alfalfa bales, and I know you know what I'm talking about.
Really heavy. Lots of moisture.
You know? Yes. So you know, like I would think, I'm going to use firefighting as an example, like in order to throw somebody over your shoulder and run out of the house with them or something, if that's still socially acceptable nowadays, you know, but you know, like you would want a bigger body, right? You know, but that's my decision on that. That wouldn't be a role that I would play, right? Some other woman who felt comfortable with that, let her play it, you know, like let her do that, you know, and stuff. So you know, that's my opinion, is that everyone is to each their own, right? Like however they want to do it. And I say, go to your strengths, right? So whatever that means. Yeah. So like, I don't want to be an accountant. And weirdly enough, I don't know why, you know, for some reason, when I see an accountant in my head, I think of a guy with glasses, you know, like, why is that a stereotype? You know, I have no idea why, but I don't want to be an accountant, you know? So there's just different things I don't want to be in that way. And one thing that I would talk about on the roles, though, is if it's forcing you into your masculine energy as a woman, or if you're a man and it's forcing you into your feminine and you're not comfortable, then maybe it's not the right role for you, right? So if you're unhappy like that, if it's and that can change as we grow and reveal more of ourselves, you know, like I used to be way more in my toxic masculinity, you know, and I would say I've kind of come about face and I'm more in my divine feminine now, right? So stuff that was right for me before wouldn't be right for me now. I kind of went off on a tangent there, and I don't really answer that question, do I?
No, you did answer it. And it was a really good answer. And what I want to share, there's a point there that I would like you to share with everybody else, because I think it's really valid. I feel like the word narcissist is overused in this, in our world today. So when you talked about toxic masculine energy within yourself, can you just describe that a little bit so everybody that's listening could understand what that looks like?
So the way that I look at things is we have feminine and masculine in us, but it's not the same. We could come from a toxic side or a divine side. We can come from even neutral side, right? And so when I talked about toxic masculinity in myself, masculine energy is about logic thinking, right? It's about using your head. Feminine is about heart. It's heart-based, right? And actually, if you think even in the body, we need both of those, right? And we need them to be divine, and we need them to be balanced, right? And so when I say toxic, so in a masculine way is I had toxic thoughts, you know, like what I said before is like, I don't need any help. I can do this, you know, like I wouldn't receive anything. That was my toxic masculinity talking, because I was cutting myself off, right? I didn't deserve to have help. I didn't, you know, I would sabotage myself. And, you know, so toxic masculinity is also the thoughts, you know, that I used to think in my head that I wasn't worthy enough. You know, I wouldn't even recognize my own brilliance, right? I wouldn't even recognize, and I'm gonna talk about myself here, but this is each and every one of you. You're so amazing. I'm not gonna talk about myself apparently. So you're so amazing that you came down to earth. You were energy. You came down into a physical form to walk the face of this planet and have your experiences. That's how amazing you are, and you're brilliant, you know. And we pick up things in our head, and in my case, it was in my toxic masculine thoughts of I can't do this, I'm not worthy of this, you know. And it was my thoughts, right? Just like my toxic feminine would then, you know, like I would close off my heart. I wouldn't feel, you know. And that was attached to no matter what you do, your thoughts are attached to your emotions, right? And so I would close myself off emotionally because it hurt too much to think, you know, to be in a situation or with somebody. And so I would close that off, right? And toxic masculine thoughts, I used to think, you know, that whole thing of projecting, right? I used to do that years ago as I would like, oh, it's their fault, you know, it's their fault. If I just got a different guy, or if I just was in a different, it's their fault, right? And I remember, I think my first son was born, and looking at myself going, there's a common denominator here and everything, you know. And it took me a while to accept that common denominator was myself. That's why I say I was the worst abuser of them all, because I was allowing all this behavior. I was allowing it by my thoughts, right? That's the toxic masculine side of myself that I talk about, was I had toxic thoughts, right? Which then gunked up my feelings and my emotions, and I didn't honor either of them. So, you know, the masculine and feminine energies, when you get to a place of receiving and nurturing on both of them, and when you get to a place when you hold presence for yourself, that's a masculine trait of holding presence, holding space, and you allow yourself to shift and change, all your energies start to shift, and your thoughts start to shift, and then they become about love, right? And they become about balancing, and yeah, you know. So now my masculine thoughts, I mean I laugh at myself all the time because I'm pretty funny, you know, the things I do or things I think or the way I used to think. I have fun with my thoughts now, right? So maybe not all the time, but but most of the time, you know. So and that's okay, because I'm on a journey, right? So as long as I'm blinking and breathing, I'm on this journey. And so that's what I mean by the toxic masculine thoughts I had, or the toxic masculine in me, is that that's that voice in your head that's not the good voice, you know. Like so many people talk about that, you know, the one that goes meh, 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 meh. You know, so that's it. You know, it's the toxic masculinity.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that because it's true. Like as we grow, like I said to someone the other day, you know, on the planet within ourselves, there's that scale of polarity. And it's like the pendulum has to swing all the way one side, right? Which is what it kind of did with the feminism. It's like all the way we swung over to that side. And now we're realizing, okay, we have to look at the patriarchal systems
Hmm.
and swing back to the center because we've learned that there's nothing wrong with it. It's just we've learned that
Hmm.
side of the energy. And now, as humans, we need to come back to neutral within ourselves, which will then reflect in our culture and our community.
Yeah. And that's what I say too is, um, I like the swinging effect,
Yeah.
and get back to neutral because we have a lot of matriarchal societies on the face of the planet. I was just speaking the other day that horses are a matriarchal society, so it's the mares that lead, and we can learn from the past and in different cultures and even from the animals, and then like you said, it swung the other way, and then it actually, I don't think it was divinely the other way either. It was a lot of toxic masculine,
Mhm.
in the businesses and stuff, and now we're coming back, but we need the divine in both to
Yeah.
come back to that place. And it reminds me, what I tell people is what I've seen in my life, and if this resonates, great, is, yeah, you can have those highs and lows. You can be right down low emotionally, and then you can be right high emotionally, or your thoughts can be, yeah, and then you beat yourself up and stuff. Neither place is the place to be. Everyone always thinks that, oh, I don't want to be down here, so I want to be up here. But no, that's not the place to be, because then you'll go, whoom, what goes up must come down, right? Where you want to be is right there. Keep it steady, So eventually, as you heal, it goes, the pendulum doesn't swing as far, and then eventually you just get to be right there. And you're right. That's where we're headed in society, is so that there's a beautiful recognition, there's a beautiful balancing, and there's a beautiful harmonizing of the masculine feminine energies, and they're divine, they're not toxic anymore, right? I think I was going to say, I think I'll be alive when that happens, like like one can dream, but that's what we're manifesting, like that's, as all of us are doing this work, as all of us are listening to these recordings and stuff, this is what we're doing, is we're bringing healing to those areas of our bodies, of our souls, so that we can come back and meet in the middle, right? In a peaceful, loving way. Yeah. Nice.
Absolutely, right? I had somebody say to me the other day, um, they were talking about my latest book, Unwinding the Divine Masculine. And she said, I created this chart of all the qualities that I wanted in my partner. And, it doesn't look like it's turning out that way. Did I make a mistake? And I said, we never make mistakes. I said, we're just failing forward because that's how we learn. When you're on the floor and you got to get back up again, that's when you learn the greatest strength that you have inside of yourself. So I feel like, you know, everything has happened the way it needed to happen to bring us to where we are now, so
Mm-hmm.
that we could learn to awaken inside. Life is an inside job, not a masculine external job, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that is what I feel is key for 2023, is learning to master the internal when things are out of balance. So we have about 10 minutes left. How do you know when you're imbalanced inside? What what keys does your body show you?
When I'm in balance,
Yes.
um, there's a zen, you know. Uh, that's what, when I tell people, like, when you meditate and you feel zen, that's because it's neither high nor low. You're
Mm-hmm.
just right there. You're actually at your natural state.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm in balance, I'm at my natural state. I'm not feeling triggered. I'm not, upset. I'm not ooey gooey high. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like to be ooey gooey high sometimes too, and
Yeah.
freaking out and celebrating.
Yeah.
But you can celebrate too without being high like that. Like, and I don't mean drugs or anything. I mean, like being energetically high, and
Mm-hmm.
and
I do.
you can still celebrate.
Yes.
So being in balance, I feel very powerful, very grounded, energized, but again, not zinging, like not zinging all over, like I'm going to parkour off every wall in my room or something, right? So I feel love. That would be the biggest one. And I'm just feeling it right now. So I feel love for myself. I feel love for everyone, and even the person that cut me off on the road or something. I just feel love for them, and that's how I know I'm in balance, when I am open to feeling and when I'm holding space for that feeling, and I realize that both my head and my heart are working in unison, right? In balance and harmonizing, because they don't always do that, right?
No, they don't.
You might be okay in one area and you're not okay in the other area, right? And then it's up to me to bring that into balance. That's the other thing, right? So how do I know I'm in balance? Is I can feel it now, right? And I want that state. I was saying this the other day to somebody too, is that, that Zen state, that pure state, that state that we are, our natural state, because you can take somebody there using hypnotherapy, guided meditation, whatever, that's your natural state, right? So the thing is to bring that into 3D, is into this 3D world, into our flesh and body, world. And so I said to her, I said, you might start meditating once a day or twice a day and you receive that state, a couple times a day, whatever. Maybe you get good at it and you do it 3-4 times a day, and that's fantastic, right? But then you go back to your regular stressful job or whatever, and you're stressed out, and then you take a few minutes for yourself in the bathroom and you find your Zen state. You don't really have to find it, because you are it. You just release the 3D stuff, programming, all that other stuff, all the stresses, and you are it. That's why it comes, right? Eventually you get to the place where you're, most of the day, you're just like that, and yeah, things might pull you, but they only pull you for a minute or two, right? And then you know how to get back. So that's how I know when I'm in balance, when not only am I feeling those things, but I know when I'm not in balance, and I bring myself back, right? And then sometimes I have a little power pout and I don't want to bring myself back. But yeah. That's like my boyfriend. He goes, you're in your head, I'm like, I know. This I know.
Yeah. But that's good, right? Because before, in the past, you would have projected when he said that, and now you're like, I know, like you're already aware of it. Yeah. Beautiful.
I'm just going to be here for a few minutes. I'm having a meeting, me, myself, and I.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how you know you're in balance, right? It just feels like good, right? It feels like peace. It feels like love. Because when you begin to recognize, oh yeah, I'm not in balance, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Now, the other thing I want to add to that, which is so important, is your breath, right?
Yes.
So many times when I get stressed, I hold my breath and I'm literally not breathing. And so now I've really learned to breathe and bring the energy through my chakras, which will in turn create that stasis of neutrality inside. So,
that's amazing. Like, thank you for bringing that up. I know this is your thing here, but, but it's so important though, because we tend to shallow breathe, when we're in all those other states, and just by changing our breathing alone, we can bring it in. I used to be a professional horse trainer for years, right? And when a horse has its head up, it's ready, it's looking, it's ready to go. And all you got to do is take a horse's head and move it down to a neutral position. Just move it down so it's in front of your chest, and boom, its whole mental state changes, right? And so I've taken that on with the breathing, right? And I realize that about humans is, oh my gosh, all we have to do is slow down the breathing, right? And that helps us get into that Zen state. That's why meditations always go, and taking a deep breath in and releasing, and, and then they do, like a deep breath in, deep breath out. They're getting you breathing, to get into that Zenful state. Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
And the breath, the other thing I want to add to this, because I've been teaching quite a few clients this lately, is when you exhale, you're letting go of the stress out your feet into the earth. Like, let Mother Earth recycle that. She is our biggest feminine energy that we're living on her body, right?
Yeah.
So it's like when you release that stress that you're carrying or the weight of the world and just let it visualize it growing out of your feet and letting go, it just opens everything up for a higher frequency to move through your body. Like we don't have to carry it all ourselves. That's
No.
a masculine trait.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I can do it by myself. It's interesting you bring that up. I don't know how long ago, several months ago, I don't know, maybe half a year ago, I don't know. I started taking people, myself included, when I would do the deep breathing on that meditative state, I would have them breathing up through their left foot from the ground, fill up their whole body, out the top of their head, and then back down through their right side and down through the right foot down into the ground. And we complete circles, you know, like circuits, you know.
Yes.
And breathing in the breath of life, breathing out, relaxing. And it was always up the left, and it still is up the left, out the right, right? And so, and down into the ground, having the ground, you know, cleanse that. I mean, it's not the first time I've you know, put breath into the ground, but I just find it interesting the way I'm being led right now and what's going on with the planet and the balancing the masculine and feminine energies, that this is what I'm being told, guided, channeled to do with people's breath, you know. And that's, it's so important that we connect with that around us, the soil, the grass, the trees, the animals, you know, we're all connected to people. And we can do that by doing that circuit, you know, deep breathing, breathe, you know. Yeah. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. So we're almost here out of time. So what message would you like to leave with all of the females out there today?
Well, I'm going to still leave the same message that changed my life and has changed so many others. And that's what you allow will continue. Just apply that to everything. Because as I talked throughout today, you know, that message, it's done everything for me. So, you know, are you going to continue, you know, like being in the toxic thoughts? Are you going to believe in yourself? Are you going to celebrate yourself, right? Who's your greatest role model? Maybe take a look at the way that you have been in the past, you know, and honor that woman, that child, you know, that whoever it was, you know. It reminds me of this when we bring back parts of our soul, you know.
Yeah.
And where we've neglected them, you know. So what you allow will continue, good, bad, or indifferent. Apply that. That's if I have one message, it's to give that out.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you for joining me here today. And if everyone wants to find you, how can they find you?
Well, they can find me on Facebook under Paula Olivia Hopwood, or you can go to paulahopwood.net or .ca, and you can find me that way. So yeah, that's probably the best ways to get a hold of me.
Well, thank you for being a strong, balanced woman and for digging deep and moving through. And I admire you and all that you have been through. And I'm grateful that you're here along with me in this journey of life.
Yeah, I'm grateful for you too. And same back at you, know, birds of a feather. So I love you. So thank you for this.
All right. Okay. Thank you. And thank you everybody for watching today. And I'm going to leave everybody with one thought. I want you to think of a woman who's a role model for all the men and the women, and send them a message today thanking them for something that they've done to inspire you or to change your life. And one last little note, I'm doing an International Women's Circle tonight at the Marriott Courtyard at 6:30. So if anybody wants to join me, I have a few spots left for a meditation. So I leave with grace, and thank you so much, Paula.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.